Welcome to Pinnacle's follow-up Health and Wealth Strategies webinar, Promoting Financial Wellness Through Education. Thank you for taking the time to join us. My name is Leslie Burnham. I'm an associate here at Pinnacle Financial Partners and a senior VP on the Health and Benefits team. A couple of housekeeping things before we begin. We muted everyone when you joined the call today to make sure everyone has a good audio experience. We will save time at the end of the presentation to answer any questions. If you would like to submit a question or need further clarification, please send it using the Q&A function on the right-hand side of the WebEx screen. We will capture your questions and try to answer as many of them as we can. The session is being recorded, and you will receive a link to the recording in a follow-up email. We will also post it to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/watchpnfp. We have had a number of employers ask if they can share the recording with their employees, and yes, you absolutely can. Our presentation has been approved for continuing education credits for HR professional designations. A certificate of completion along with the activity code will be emailed to participants attending the live event. A little bit about Pinnacle Financial Partners and why we're so passionate about the topic today. Pinnacle was founded just over 20 years ago and is now a top 50 bank with clients nationwide. We have offices in 14 urban markets across the Southeast. The firm was built on the premise clients want to be treated with respect by someone who knows and understands their personal and business needs. To that end, Pinnacle established a broad range of services that uniquely position it to provide comprehensive financial solutions with distinctive service and effective advice. Our goal for today's webinar is to understand what financial wellness is and why the workplace plays such a crucial role in helping employees avoid financial crises and achieve financial wellness. A final housekeeping note to keep our compliance folks happy. The information we provide to you today may change tomorrow, especially given the urgency in which the IRS, Department of Labor, and Congress are passing legislation in the wake of COVID-19. This is what we know to be true as of today. Information provided is for educational purposes. We are not providing specific legal, tax, financial, or medical advice. Please consult your legal counsel or your tax advisor for your particular circumstance. We are thrilled to have our very own Peter Olson, Group Banking Advisor, who will share his experience and expertise on financial wellness. Peter will share the importance of financial wellness and how the workplace plays such a vital role in helping employees. With more than 12 years in the financial services industry, Peter has helped many businesses, colleges, and universities implement a variety of financial wellness and literacy programs for employees and students. You'll also hear from me, Leslie Burnham, Health and Benefits Advisor here at Pinnacle. For over 20 years, I have worked with insurance brokers, employers, and employees in the employee benefit space, helping them define their needs and recommending the appropriate programs for their firm. The correlation between health and financial wellness has never been stronger. Employers are moving toward education and resources that go beyond traditional benefit offerings. Financial education is becoming a recognized benefit and high demand as employees look to their employers to meet this need. While many factors contribute to a person's overall financial wellness, today we will focus on those related to the workplace and their potential impact.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks again for joining Leslie and I today. My name is Peter Olson, and I'm excited to be here with all of you to talk about something I'm very passionate about, financial wellness. You probably are familiar with the term financial wellness, but do we really know what it means? In general, Financial wellness is the ability to successfully manage short-term finances while also saving and investing for long-term goals. If you have good financial wellness, you generally have enough money to cover day-to-day expenses, you're saving enough money for retirement, you're able to cover healthcare costs both in the present and in the future, and last but not least, you have the capacity to absorb a financial shock, which most people do with an emergency savings fund. There are some misconceptions that only low-income workers struggle with their finances and their financial wellness. According to a survey conducted by Corporate Wellness Magazine, 61% of all workers admit to usually or always living paycheck to paycheck. 30% of people that have a salary of over $100,000 per year admit to having the same issues. A few years ago, one of my clients asked me to do a budgeting and savings workshop for their employees as their HR manager was seeing a large amount of 401k loans and early withdrawals. The average yearly salary of my audience that day, over $200,000 per year. So how can you and other employers recognize the warning signs of someone whose financial wellness is being challenged? Whether you're a business owner or human resources manager or director, you probably have seen some, if not all of these warning signs from your employees at some point in time. These include increased absenteeism, or the exact opposite, where employees are working too many hours to the point of overworking. You might have had questions from your employees about borrowing money or early withdrawal questions from their 401k. There may be questions asked you about bank accounts, including what banks offer a 48-hour advance on their direct deposit, as well as what are the overdraft fees for bank XYZ. When I get these questions, either from a business owner, human resources manager, or the employees, this is a huge red flag to me that whoever asked this question is not only struggling with their day-to-day expenses, but also needs certain education concerning how to manage their bank account properly so they can avoid certain fees.
There are also warning signs related to health issues. These include frequent and/or partial absences for doctor visits for themselves or someone in their family, increased use of PTO, and their short-term disability benefits.
There are many factors that have contributed to the state of our society's financial health. Some of the factors listed here are things we really can't control. They include student loan debt. PricewaterhouseCoopers uncovered in a 2020 financial wellness survey that 40% of millennial employees have a student loan, and 74% of those employees admit that their student loan is having a significant impact on their ability to meet other financial goals. Prices are rising, and income is not keeping pace with these rising prices. Investopedia looked at the past 20 years for housing and automobile cost. What they found was housing prices are 35% higher than they should be when accounting for inflation. Food prices in 2020 increased by 3.9% from 2019, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Wages and salaries increased 1%, and benefit costs increased 0.6% from December of 2020.
While we saw a dip in healthcare costs in 2020, largely due to delayed or avoided care, in 2021, patients are expected to return to the doctor. Healthcare costs for 2021 are projected to increase 8.4%. This is 5 times higher than GDP growth in the last 5 years.
Long story short, prices are rising faster than our income is, and that is creating more financial pressure on individuals each and every year. Some things, like the factors listed here, are deemed, in my opinion, as things that are in our control. There are gaps in financial education for at least some, if not many of us. Throughout my career, I've had the privilege to work with many different colleges and universities throughout North Carolina and parts of Virginia. Years ago, one of the schools I partnered with asked to meet me to discuss a financial wellness series for their students. I expected to hear the request for workshops discussing credit, identity theft, and investing, as these were the most popular workshops for students at the time. Instead, the school administrators turned to me and asked, "Can you teach our incoming freshmen how to use the ATM machine?" Apparently, a rather large amount of freshman students were coming into the administrative office and asking for help on how to use the ATM machine on campus. I was shocked when I was asked this question because it cost over $50,000 per year to attend this university. While I didn't have a lesson plan for this life skill, we decided to take a field trip with the incoming freshmen, and I showed them how to use the ATM machine on campus. I'm not blaming anyone here, not the students, as I was happy to see that they were asking for help, and not the student's family, nor the school system, as I know everyone is trying their best to help these students prepare for the next stage in life. This was simply a life skill that was missed. Based upon this experience and many others that I've encountered in my 12-year career in the financial services industry, it is fair to assume that some of your employees have gaps in their own financial education. Even if someone's financially stressed, people aren't asking for help when there's plenty of help available because they're too embarrassed to do so. And keeping up with the Joneses is not just a phrase, as it has a very negative impact on many Americans and their financial wellness. According to a survey by Charles Schwab in 2019, 34% of Americans admit their spending habits were influenced by images and experiences shared by their friends on social media like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. 35% of those surveyed admit to spending more than they can afford in order to do stuff with friends.
Poor decisions may happen when it comes to employees choosing their insurance. Let's think about this. Employers offer on average 12 to 15 benefits to their employees. In 2020, virtual open enrollment meetings replaced traditional face-to-face employee meetings, and many employees made their benefit elections on their own and online. It's not surprising then that 23% of employees spent less time making their online open enrollment decisions. In 2020, the average time spent deciding on all of their benefits was 26.1 minutes versus 34 minutes in 2019. Not only did they spend less time making those decisions, they primarily made them on their mobile phones. With 35% of employees not understanding their benefits, virtual enrollments create new challenges in engaging employees and helping them understand their benefit options.
Whether it's something we can control or not, people are having money issues. According to a 2019 Federal Reserve report, 37% of adults could not cover a $400 expense with cash or a cash equivalent, while another 12% of adults said they would be unable to pay the expense by any means. This is important to mention, as part of being financially well is the capability to absorb a financial shock, which according to this survey, over 1/3 of Americans struggle to accomplish and 12% not able to do. In 2020, the National Foundation for Credit Counseling's Consumer Financial Literacy Survey uncovered that while 82% of U.S. adults have tried to purchase their own home, 56% have faced barriers, especially younger adults aged 18 to 34, due to little or no credit history, as well as a lack of understanding of the home buying process. Benefits Pro in August of 2020 shared that 88% of Americans said that the COVID-19 crisis is causing stress on their personal finances.
People with high financial anxiety were more likely to have past due bills for the treatment of a health problem. Focus group respondents said that having too many expenses and monthly bills, especially medical expenses, were major factors contributing to high anxiety.
Speaking of health, the money issues people are having are becoming health issues. Financial stress affects the health of more employees than smoking and obesity combined. PricewaterhouseCoopers and their employee financial wellness surveys in 2020 uncovered that 54% of employees say that financial matters causes them the most stress, which is 3 times higher than the most popular answer, second most popular answer, my job at 18%. I want to stop for a second and let that marinate with everyone. No matter how much you like or love your job, it comes with stress. The participants in this survey said financial matters causes them the most stress compared to their job by a 3-to-1 ratio. By the way, this statistic has trended to very similar numbers since at least 2017. 63% of employees surveyed by PricewaterhouseCoopers in 2021 stated that their financial stress has increased since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. This stress can and does lead to a lack of sleep. According to a Bankrate survey in 2019, 78% of U.S. adults are losing sleep, worrying about everyday expenses, saving for retirement, and healthcare costs.
Between 28 and 57% of employees avoided addressing medical issues due to cost. As you would imagine, doing this not only puts the employee's health at risk, but subjects them to greater healthcare expenses once it's finally addressed. As the long-standing question goes, which came first, the chicken or the egg? The same question can be applied to health and money issues. Not only do money issues become health issues, but health issues can turn into money issues. With the cost of health care, it's no surprise that a whopping 60% of bankruptcies are due to medical expenses. Spinal fusion, heart bypass, as well as valve replacement are all common surgeries that range from $100,000 to close to $200,000. A person with type 1 diabetes has an average annual medical expenditure of almost $17,000. For someone with kidney failure, they can expect to spend a staggering $72,000 per year on dialysis treatment. For those without major health issues, the average projected healthcare expenditure, including insurance premium and medical expenses for a single person, is just over $6,500. A family of 4 can anticipate spending an average of more than $28,000. Money and health issues will likely affect an employer's bottom line. When compared to a healthy employee, an employer's healthcare spending is 4 times higher for an employee with a chronic condition, and then 8 times higher for an employee with a complex chronic condition.
Not only do your healthcare costs increase, as Leslie mentioned, but so do your costs as it relates to recruiting and training your employees, as you will encounter higher amounts of employee turnover. For employees who remain at work beyond normal retirement, employers can expect workforce costs to increase somewhere between 1 to 1.5%. For those employees that stay with you but are having financial wellness issues and stress, the risk of employee theft and fraud increases. Finally, money and health issues will also result in lost productivity and your bottom line, whether it's a higher number of absentee cases or a term called presenteeism. In case you are unfamiliar with this term, it is the problem of workers being on the job, but because of illness or other medical conditions, not fully functioning. Even though it's harder to identify, by some estimates, this phenomenon costs U.S. companies over $150 billion per year, much more than absenteeism does. To give you an example of how presenteeism could be affecting your bottom line in lost productivity, we have an example to share with you. According to a PricewaterhouseCoopers survey in 2017, approximately 30% of employees while at work are distracted by their finances. And of those 30%, nearly half spend at least 3 hours or more each week dealing with personal financial matters. So putting pen to paper, if you have 500 employees, then approximately 150 of your 500 employees are distracted by their finances at work. 46% of those 150 employees equals the 69 employees who spend at least 3 hours per week dealing with personal financial matters. Multiply 69 employees by 3 hours per week and 48 weeks per year with an assumption of 2 weeks of PTO, and that equates to approximately 10,000 hours of lost productivity. If we multiply that by an average hourly wage of $19.44 per hour, we get to almost $200,000 in lost productivity per year for a company with 500 employees. We can probably debate this dollar amount until the cows come home, but this makes sense that employees who are worried about their finances are carrying the stress with them to work. There isn't some imaginary door they pass through where all of their worries from home goes away the second they walk into the workplace. These worries are distracting and leads to lost productivity.
It's fair to say we've established the relationship between health, employee benefits, and financial wellness. If a person is unprepared for medical expense now or in retirement, they're walking a tightrope without a safety net. Often, people don't feel compelled to prepare when they are healthy and potentially have more resources. The "it won't happen to me or anyone in my family" mentality prevails until even a minor health care issue leaves them with a $1,000 medical expense they are unable to pay for. In retirement, a couple should now plan to save $295,000 in order to cover medical expenses alone. It comes as no surprise then that 60% of bankruptcies are due to medical expenses. So how can an employee's benefits and an HSA be utilized to offset or prevent the financial crisis associated with healthcare expenses? On average, employers offer 12 to 15 benefits to their employees. Many of these benefits play a role in financial wellness, but as we mentioned earlier, more than a third of employees don't understand their benefits and how they can impact both short and long-term financial wellness. Taking additional time to educate employees on their benefits and helping them determine which benefits best meet their needs is a great place to start. Easier said than done, right? Finding a way to engage employees in the decision-making process was challenging enough in a pre-COVID world when there were in-person open enrollment meetings and paper forms completed with an HR representative on site. The downside was that employers sacrificed valuable production time for employees to attend those meetings. During the pandemic, however, many employers adapted quickly to offer virtual open enrollment meetings and directed employees to an online benefits portal or mobile app to make their elections, thereby minimizing the impact to production. With the new capabilities come increased challenges in helping employees understand their benefits and making decisions that are financially best for them. Do you or your employees have access to a health savings account? HSAs can help employees save for healthcare expenses now and in the future, and are often overlooked or not regarded as a valuable tool in creating a personal financial wellness plan. So let's take a quick look at what an HSA is and what it can do. A health savings account is a tax-advantaged savings account available to people enrolled in a qualified high-deductible health plan. It offers a long-term savings option for healthcare expenses that can be spent both now and in retirement. The HSA has a triple tax advantage. Contributions are tax-free, distributions for qualified expenses are tax-free, and finally, HSA balances earn interest and investment earnings tax-free. The employee owns the account and it stays with them even if they change employers. Any unspent funds accumulate year over year. There is no use it or lose it component with an HSA. Anyone can contribute to a person's HSA, the employee, the employer, and family and friends, but it is the account holder who gets the tax break on the contribution. Funds can be spent on qualified expenses for both the account holder as well as their tax dependents. Then at age 65, a person can continue to spend their HSA funds on qualified health care expenses, including Medicare premiums, and they can spend the funds on non-qualified expenses and simply pay ordinary income tax on that amount. There are limits to how much you can contribute. In 2021, a single person enrolled in a high-deductible health plan can contribute up to $3,600. Or if you have at least one dependent covered on a high-deductible health plan, you can contribute up to $7,200. For those who are 55 and older, they can contribute an additional $1,000 in the form of a catch-up contribution. So now that you have a basic understanding of what an HSA is and what it can do, let's take it a step further and talk about HSA strategies to consider for alleviating health-related financial burdens. Consider using your after-tax dollars to pay for qualified health care expenses and leaving your HSA funds alone. There's no requirement that says you must use them when you incur a qualified expense. If you find you need those funds later on, you can always go back and pay yourself back, as there's no time limit to do this. Just be sure to save your receipts and EOBs, as this is required by the IRS.
So Leslie and I spoke about this a few weeks ago, and I shared with her that my financial wellness was positively impacted after attending our Health and Wealth Strategies webinar back in April. My goal with my HSA was and continues to be a fund that I can grow over the next 20 plus years to help me pay for the estimated hundreds of thousands of dollars I will need for medical expenses alone when I retire. The hurdle I was struggling to get over was, how can my HSA money grow when I keep using it for medical expenses each and every year? The strategy shared in April and just recently of paying my current medical expenses from my bank account instead of using my HSA funds if I can afford to do so, and leaving my HSA money alone was music to my ears. This is allowing me the capability to invest the money in my HSA and letting it grow over time to help me reach my retirement medical expense goal.
If an HSA is already offered, consider adding the option to enroll in a limited purpose flexible spending account. While an employee cannot have both an HSA and the full medical FSA, they can have an HSA and a limited purpose FSA. The limited purpose flexible spending account allows pre-tax contributions to be spent on qualified dental and vision expenses only. All qualified medical expenses remain eligible under the HSA. This separate tax-advantaged opportunity preserves the HSA funds and allows dental and vision expenses to be paid from this separate limited-purpose flexible spending account. Devenir research shows for 2020, the average HSA contribution in the first year is just over $1,700. For those folks who don't have $1,000 to pay for an unexpected expense, if it was a health-related expense, the HSA may have provided the financial solution. And if it did, the remaining balance in the HSA would roll over to next year, when new contributions would begin allowing for continued growth of the account. In a recent PricewaterhouseCoopers survey, more than a third of individuals and families with an employer-sponsored high-deductible health plan reported not having enough saved to pay for their deductible. The IRS offers a one-time opportunity to do a rollover from a traditional IRA to your HSA with no penalty. The amount that can be rolled over, along with any other contributions made during the calendar year, cannot exceed the annual contribution limit. The fear of not having enough to pay for a big expense in the early stage of a high-deductible health plan is definitely a valid concern. So knowing this HSA strategy exists is important. An HSA can be both an immediate and a long-term financial solution when it comes to healthcare expenses and help bring this major component of financial wellness into balance. Consider offering an HSA option to your employees. If and when you provide this option, consider allowing ample time and resources to educate employees on the benefit options in order to help them make the best decision for them and their family.
Not only can health savings accounts aid with financial wellness, but there's also plenty of help out there from different organizations. If I was in your shoes and looking to partner with an organization, knowing what I know from over a decade of experience, these are the things I would consider when making my choice. First is reputation. Not only do I want to consider the reputation of the organization that wants to partner with me, but the individual as well. The individual is who I'm going to work with the most. Double-checking references this individual provides for me either on LinkedIn or hopefully in the same circles of influence will give you a pretty good idea of how helpful this individual and organization will be. Second is resources. Since I'm allowing access for this financial institution or other organization to my employees, is there anything special they're going to offer them? Feeling special is just that, special. Who doesn't want to feel special? What a nice bonus it can be when your employees feel special because they receive certain benefits and discounts because they work for you. For example, at Pinnacle, through our group banking program, we offer hundreds to thousands of dollars of banking benefits and discounts should an employee of a group banking company choose to bank with us. The other resources I'd like to review are the different financial wellness tools and resources your partner can offer you. This includes workshops, handouts, and videos. What topics do they cover? How many different types of each resource do they have? And when it comes to workshops, I'd probably like to schedule a trial workshop with a few team members of mine so we can vet this financial wellness partner, not only for the content that is provided, but to determine how engaging is our presenter. Next is capabilities. How will this financial wellness information be provided to my employees? While I believe in-person is the most effective way, we all have learned and adapted throughout the COVID-19 pandemic that virtual and online options do exist and can be effective if in-person options are not available. If I'm looking at online options, a few things I would consider. How easy is it to navigate? How much content is available? What is the cost? And are there different delivery methods like podcasts, articles, interactive courses, and videos on YouTube that will give my employees different choices to learn? How flexible is my financial wellness partner? Unfortunately, some financial wellness partners have only one option, and it's a take it or leave it approach, in which case I would recommend that you leave it. Flexibility is key as businesses need a tailored solution to meet their needs. A manufacturing facility needs a different setup than a doctor's office. What if I have a third shift? Those employees need the same financial wellness tools and resources as my first shift. In some cases, a different approach is needed within the same business. The office staff may have different needs and hours of availability than the manufacturing line. Having flexible partners will lead to a more effective financial wellness program. How much will this cost? Will my partner charge me for this service? The good news is, if your partner is Pinnacle, then your cost for a financial wellness program is zero. Most other financial institutions have no cost for their financial wellness programs as well. The financial wellness programs that have a cost are usually the online platforms where your employees log into and take courses. These platforms typically have a cost of between $12 to $20 per employee.
For HSAs and other tax-advantaged accounts, look for more than just a provider solution. You want an administrator who will partner with you, one who can offer customized employee education and provide you with ongoing support throughout the year. Reporting capabilities are also important. Identifying trends and performance are critical for knowing what, if any, changes need to be made for the upcoming year.
After you've found that financial wellness partner that meets your needs, here are some tips for you to execute an impactful financial wellness program. Incorporate financial wellness into your other wellness initiatives. All of these wellness initiatives are interconnected. Offer some sort of incentive, if you can, for those employees who participate. Understand your employee demographics and survey your employees anonymously to understand what topics your employees need help with or want to learn more about. Your most popular responses is where you should start first. I would also survey your employees that attend a financial wellness event afterwards to get not only their feedback for your most recent event, but for ideas for future events. Tailor your program and communication to match your employees' needs. Having an option for your employees to split their direct deposit is a wonderful aid to help those employees who are trying to save by keeping part of their paycheck, hopefully, out of sight and out of mind, and allowing their savings to grow.
Host an Understand Your Benefits session. The workplace offers employees a number of benefits that help to prepare and save for future health care and living expenses. HSA and FSA in particular are powerful cost-saving opportunities for employees to participate in, both for expected and unexpected health care expenses. Remember, 35% of employees do not understand the benefits they're offered by their employer. How helpful HSA, FSA are depends on the employee's understanding of how they work and whether or not these types of accounts are a fit for them and their families.
There are some circumstances where you can and should partner with more than one financial wellness provider, especially if they check all of the boxes we reviewed on the previous slide. This is a good idea, especially if your providers offer help in different areas. Remember, the end goal is an improvement in your employees' financial wellness. A few more tips. Try different ways to connect with your employees by using emails, posters in your break room, company intranet, and staff meeting announcements. There's a lot of great financial wellness tools and resources available, so distributing different materials from your partners that have good reputations can only help. We discussed earlier that a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work. Hopefully, your financial wellness partner can interact with your employees in a variety of different ways. Workshops are great, but they are not and should not be the only way to educate and help your employees. Workshops also might not work in your environment, as you may not be able to pull everyone off the line for 30 to 45 minutes. Please note that I don't call them seminars. Workshops sound more inviting because I'm attending something where I'm going to work on myself and try to become a better version of me. Tabling events are where your financial wellness partner sets up in a designated area in your workplace and has a variety of resources available for all of your employees to stop by during their break or lunch period. Wellness or benefits fairs are a great way to bring multiple partners in for a period of time to let your employees know that they are special and that there is help out there. There is also one-on-one consultations. I've done a few of these before, where for a certain 3 to 4 hour window at your workplace, your employees sign up for a private 15 to 20-minute conversation with your financial wellness partner to discuss whatever is on their mind as it relates to their personal finances, especially what is keeping them up at night. Sometimes we've been able to answer everything, and other times we need more than the 15 to 20 minutes and more information. For these circumstances where the 15 to 20 minutes wasn't enough time, we schedule a future conversation during the employee's personal time. These one-on-one consultations can be done both in person or virtually. Where I've seen the most success in the past is when the human resources manager is very engaged and hands-on in setting this up. Your financial wellness partner should have resources that cover a variety of different topics. The most popular topics I continue to see over the past decade include budgeting, savings, credit, identity theft, and retirement. A great way to build momentum and participation in your financial wellness program is sharing success stories. Before you do, please ensure your employees don't mind sharing their success stories with others. Or perhaps you share the success story but omit the employee name for privacy concerns. When I was working on losing weight a few years ago, it inspired and motivated me to see other people's success stories to show me it can be done. The same is true for those who have financial success. I have one don't, and that is I would not use the term financial literacy with your employees. To me and many others, this has a feel to it that those who are attending these events or using these tools are illiterate, and it could be misunderstood by your employees that they are uneducated should they participate. You want this program to be inviting as possible to your employees, so please use the terms financial wellness or financial education. Your employees want the help. PricewaterhouseCoopers uncovered during their financial wellness survey in 2021 that when it comes to personal finances, 87% of employees want help. 51% want to make their own decisions, but have an expert validate it. And the remaining 36% want to be told what to do. In 2020, the National Foundation for Credit surveyed consumers and found that 78% agree, including 29% that strongly agree, that these consumers could benefit from advice and answers to everyday financial questions from a professional. And between 57 to 72% of employees would be attracted to another company that cares more about financial well-being than their current company. Last but not least, whether you're a business owner, CEO, CFO, or human resources manager, it is smart to know your return on investment for any program, including financial wellness initiatives. Here are the 6 steps on how to measure the return on your investment for a financial wellness program. Step 1, start with collecting initial data. You can choose any or all of the data points listed here. Note that many of these data points we have discussed already could be employee warning signs, and all of them can relate to an employee's financial wellness. Step 2 is to collect employee data anonymously in order to get the most accurate information. You need to understand how many employees consider themselves to be struggling with their financial wellness. Some of your questions can include the following. Please rate your current stress level with your personal finances, ranging from no stress to some stress to moderate, high, or very high stress. Do financial concerns affect your concentration at work? How many hours per week do you spend on your financial concerns while at work? For more examples of questions you can ask your employees to determine your employees' financial stress and wellness, please feel free to read The Wells, How to Calculate Financial Wellness ROI. Step 3 is to roll out your tailored financial wellness program with a trusted financial wellness partner and communicate it to your employees. Step 4 is collecting more data. You need to collect the same data on the measurable side like absenteeism, 401k measurables, and others that you collected in Step 1. You also need to conduct another survey and ask the same questions you asked on Step 2's anonymous surveys. This will provide you answers to determine if things like financial stress has decreased or not. You can also take advantage of this opportunity to get feedback from your employees about your current financial wellness program to include what they found most useful so far, as well as what they'd like to see in the future. Step 5 is crunch the numbers. Compare your initial data you collected in Step 1 to where you are now with this data to find any cost savings. The last step is to calculate your return on investment. Add up all the cost savings experienced in Step 5 and divide that by the cost of the financial wellness program. The cost of the financial wellness program should include if your financial wellness partner charges for their service. As a friendly reminder, Pinnacle does not charge for this service, along with any administrative hours or cost in executing elements of your financial wellness program. Your result should be one that you're very happy with. In the past decade I've been doing this, I think I can count on one hand the number of times where I did a financial wellness event for a client, and after I left, I felt like I didn't add any value or help for the employees who participated. Besides this initiative helping your bottom line, it is also the right thing to do in helping people, which should make everyone feel good. This concludes our presentation today. On behalf of Pinnacle, Leslie and I want to thank you for your time and attention this afternoon. We hope you found this information useful and discovered some valuable takeaways you can use in the workplace. As we mentioned earlier, you will receive a link to a recording of the presentation today, along with a certificate of completion for those needing continuing education credits for HR professional designations. We are now going to open it up for questions. Please remember to use the Q&A function to ask any questions. Beyond today's webinar, if anyone would like to speak with either Leslie or I, our contact information is listed here. If you're interested in setting up a financial wellness program that is tailored to your needs, please do not hesitate to contact me. If you happen to be outside of the Piedmont Triad area of North Carolina, I'd be glad to connect you to the correct local Pinnacle associate to help you. So Fern, are there any questions for Leslie or myself?
Good afternoon, everyone. I actually do have a question, Leslie, for you. I did go ahead and answer the participant in our Q&A chat, but it's a really great question that I think everyone could benefit from. The question is if you roll over from your IRA to your HSA for that one-time rollover, is there a penalty or a tax waived for that rollover?
There is no penalty for the rollover from the traditional IRA to your HSA.
Yep, absolutely, and that's what we stated. I did reiterate that the annual contribution limit still applies. So if you do roll over from your IRA, you just may need to take a look at your own personal contribution strategy for the year to reduce by that amount. An additional question that I have is there a penalty for using my HSA for a non-qualified expense prior to retirement?
That's a great question, yes. You can only use HSA funds for qualified expenses that, and if you use them for something that is not a qualified expense, there is a 20% excise tax penalty that will be assessed on that distribution.
Yep, absolutely. Peter, I think this is a great question for you. Would you recommend that spouses or partners of employees and other family members attend these financial wellness events as well?
Absolutely. In many of the financial wellness workshops that we do here at Pinnacle, whether it's been setting financial goals, budgeting, credit, or retirement, we actually advise our participants to communicate and work with their spouse, partner, significant other, or family member in order to have a better chance for them to reach their financial goals. So personally, I can't think of a better way for a financial wellness event to be more successful than to have the other person attending with your employee. I think the one challenge you may find is with the time of your event and the venue in trying to incorporate other people's schedules, which are usually outside of your workforce, into the mix. So the best example I could probably give an employee plus their spouse or partner attending a financial wellness event together is we did an event we attended a company picnic for a client, and an hour or two before lunch was served, our team was available to talk to anyone should anyone want to come talk with us, and I think there was a lot of value in that. So great question.
That is a great question, and this next question I actually think really is a good segue into this question, especially if you're thinking about having a partner or a spouse attend. You mentioned that there were virtual options and that these are an effective way to provide a financial wellness coaching session or event. Do you have a preferred platform that you like to use, like Zoom or WebEx?
So that's another great question, and really appreciate whoever asked that. I'm a big believer that in-person events still are the most effective way. But once again, like I think we've all learned over the past 18 months, if that isn't available for one reason or another, virtual events can be very effective. So as far as it comes to preferences, I really don't have a preference for any particular platform for group meetings like the one we're doing right now. Because as long as they've got the tools like the chat feature, raising your hand, polling capabilities, emoticons, and others to help keep the audience engaged with your presenters. But if it's the one-on-one consultations that we discussed today, for like those 15 to 20-minute one-on-one consultations, I do prefer to use Zoom and have the controls of allowing people into our virtual meeting that they have what they believe they call the virtual waiting room, because privacy is going to be a big key here for allowing your employees to share with our financial experts or any financial expert what problems they're having with their finances. So other platforms might have that capability, but I've seen a few that don't, and I'm very comfortable with Zoom's waiting room feature. So just please make sure that if you're doing one-on-one consultations virtually, that platform you're using has a waiting room feature like Zoom does.
Excellent. We're still taking questions. However, they have paused for the moment. But please know that if you do have further questions after the webinar is over, you can absolutely reach out directly to Leslie or Peter with their contact information that is shown here.
Right. Thanks again for all the great questions. And we are reaching the top of the hour, so we appreciate everyone's time and attendance. Just a little preview, continuing our series on health and wealth strategies. Our next session will be held on Wednesday, September 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. This webinar is titled Learn to Love Open Enrollment, or at least not hate it. And we will share tips and suggestions for engaging employees, utilizing technology, and other resources to maximize benefits education. So for those of you who registered for today's session, obviously, you'll automatically receive an invitation to the next session unless you indicated you did not want to receive future mailings. One last thing to make our compliance folks happy. Here we've provided a list of our citations and resources from the webinar. Thank you again, and we hope you all have a great rest of your day.